So let's talk singles court positioning, specifically when you're standing behind the baseline. Now, big thank you to Court Level Tennis and Liam Appilato on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to their channel. I put them in the description below. All right, let's watch this point and then we'll diagram it. So here we have Rublev, and this is obviously in Australia. One thing that you'll notice when you watch high-level singles players is they don't stand on the same side of the court as their opponent. And this is just so easily seen on this point. I want you to notice right here how we have Rublev on the left side of the court, and his opponent is on, or his hitting partner is on the right side of the court. So this is what I call seesawing. You know what a seesaw is? That thing with kids, and they're like this, and the one kid sits here, and this moves down, and then the seesaw looks like this, and then this kid goes down, and the seesaw just kind of goes back and forth, right? Well, when you balance out the court like this, it helps you bisect where your opponent can hit the ball. I want you to watch how Rublev hits this ball cross court. Now notice that he is not trying to go to the center, but he's actually staying over here. When your opponent is on the right half of the court, you want to be on the left half of the court. And the reason for this is so you can bisect where they can hit the ball. Right now, the farthest Rublev would have to move to his right is right here, because his opponent would only be able to hit the ball down the line. But he could hit a very sharp, topspin ball off the court, which would move Rublev way off the court over here. So he's actually bisecting where his opponent can hit the ball by staying on the opposite side of the court. Now the opponent hits the ball cross court, and then what you notice is Rublev hits this ball down the line. Now, when you hit a ball down the line, you can't stay where you are, because you've now moved your opponent to your side of the court. If your opponent moves to the side you're on, then you need to balance it out by going over. So remember, he hit that previous backhand cross court and then he stayed. So he hit cross court and then he stayed over here. But watch, the next shot, he hits down the line and then he starts moving over to get on the opposite side. So now his opponent's over here. Now Rublev moves over here. Watch, Rublev hits the ball cross court. Notice where Rublev is standing. He is not, you would think like, oh, he should just hit the ball down the line. Why doesn't the opponent hit the ball down the line? It's wide open. There's a reason why Rublev is standing here, because he's actually bisecting where the opponent can hit the ball. Rarely is the very center of the court the center of where your opponent can hit. And when your opponent moves off to the side, you have to move slightly the other direction. This is what I call, again, seesawing. Now, you'll notice that his opponent does the exact same thing. Watch the opponent hit cross court. And where should, since Rublev's moving this way, where should the opponent be? Notice where the opponent is. Rublev is over here, so the opponent is slightly over here. Even though you think, well, Ryan, what's the difference? What's the difference between right in the center and where he is? Well, look, it might be, a meter or, 2 meters. It makes a difference, especially at these high levels. So you'll notice that both opponents are always staying opposite each other. They're actually staying opposite. And when they hit down the line, they move to the other side. So when you follow this strategy, you're usually in much better position for the possible shots that your opponents can hit. Now, if you're looking for ways to practice these strategies with people around you in your local area, then click the card up here on the top right and go to playercourt.com and find people in your local area to compete against and practice it with, and even find coaches who you can work with so you can practice these strategies and take your game to the next level. All right, it's so simple. When your opponent's over here, you should be slightly on this side of the court. If your opponent's over here, you should be slightly on this side of the court. And how will you know where your opponent's going? Because that's where you hit the ball. Your opponent chases the ball. So if you hit the ball over here and your opponent moves this way, you need to be on this side of the court. What you'll notice with pros is rarely are they in the very center of the court when the opponent hits the ball. I didn't say they're never there, but rarely are they there. They're usually on one side or the other. And what you'll notice, kind of like seesawing, is they will usually be on opposite sides. So when you hit a shot cross court, you can recover a little bit, but don't recover to the middle. you can recover back to the center a little bit, but stay on that opposite side. Because believe it or not, you're actually bisecting where your opponent can hit the ball. Now, one thing I often hear is, yeah, but Ryan, down the line is a shorter distance, so you're giving that up and then the ball's going to go past them or past you. And it really isn't, because you don't move laterally to get these balls. If the ball goes down the line, sure, you can move straight across, parallel to the net to get that ball. But when your opponent hits cross court, you don't move from staying behind the baseline. You move in at an angle. So that's where the bisecting comes from. If your opponent hits cross court, I'll just put a little mark right here. If you're right here, to get to this ball, you move this way to get to that ball. So you can move behind the baseline for a down the line shot, but you're going to move in at an angle to get the cross court shot. So that's why the bisecting works, because you're actually bisecting these two shots. So stay on the opposite side of the court from your opponent. If you hit the ball over here, and that's where your opponent is, then you move over here. And then these two lines switch, right? And then you're bisecting this way. The goal is to stand in the middle of where your opponent can hit the ball, both cross court and down the line. And you do that by staying on the opposite side of the court. Start noticing this from your favorite pros and players on tour. When you copy it, there's no doubt you're going to gain confidence, win more matches, and play much better tennis. This is Ryan Reedy from 2minutetennis.net. You got this.